white supremacist who was aspiring to be a police officer shot and killed 2 protesters in Kenosha, Wisconsin. That is the example that the police are setting in this country. For most jobs, murder hurts your chance of employment. But for a cop, this kid just padded his resume. Kyle Rittenhouse showed up armed with an AR-styled assault rifle to the protests and shot at protesters. When unarmed protesters tried to disarm Kyle, he shot 1 in the head at point-blank range, 1 in the chest, killing them both. He then fired at other protesters randomly down the street. At this point, he walks over to the bystanders trying to save this man's life, where he's on his phone saying, "I just killed someone." With the weapon across his chest and his hands up in the air, Kyle walks towards the police officers, almost as if he wanted to be arrested.
Hey, he just shot them! Hey, dude right here just shot them! Dude right here just shot all them down there! That dude just shot them up there! That dude right here! Yeah!
Someone injured straight ahead. No! Get out of the road! Get down there! God damn it!
White people have a hard time trying to get arrested, and the cops ignored him. The police knew that somebody was just shot, but for some reason, the kid waving his arms with a gun around him was not the #1 suspect. During these events, you can even see that Kyle and others were offered water bottles by the police officers who told these armed individuals, "We appreciate you being here."
We need water. We'll throw you one. Thank you. We got a couple. We'll give you a couple. We appreciate you guys, we really do.
To be fair, at this point, the police officers had no idea that this man was going to be violent. But we do know that him being white is why they assumed he wouldn't be. How long do you honestly think it would take for a black man to be shot after walking down the street waving his arms in the air with an assault rifle around his chest? Many conservatives are hailing this kid to be a hero and calling him a patriot. Let's make sure we all understand the order of events here. Kyle's mom drove him to this protest and also had an assault rifle. Throughout the night, Kyle killed somebody. After he killed somebody, this skateboarder threw himself into harm's way, all in order to stop this gunman, being an actual hero. Everybody is speculating how this first shot went down, but whatever your assumption is, shows how well you've paid attention to these protests this far. During these mostly largely peaceful protests, white supremacists have been caught destroying buildings like this AutoZone. The police have been caught loading bricks into alleys, hoping that protesters use them as weapons. Police have been recorded all throughout the country attacking innocent protesters all the time. More journalists have been attacked in 1 week of these protests than during your average entire year. Cops have been recorded saying that they can't wait to slaughter N-words. Anti-protesters have driven their cars through protests. After all of this, your assumption is to side with this 17-year-old? Why on earth would unarmed protesters just start randomly attacking some innocent boy that has an assault rifle? The only people dumb enough to actually believe that story are the same people dumb enough to vote for this guy. Kyle is 17 and was open carrying an AR-15 in Wisconsin, where it is illegal to do so under the age of 18. He illegally transported that illegal weapon across state lines. And since he was in violation of curfew, it means he was engaging in illegal activity. In Wisconsin law, it is not legal self-defense if you are engaged in illegal activity at the time. Also, Wisconsin law does not give legal protection for deadly force to protect property, especially when the property is not yours. Also, a side note, it's crazy that the Kenosha police chief actually blamed the people that were shot and murdered because they were out after curfew, even though the person that shot them was also out after curfew. But wait, are we talking about law? Really? Laws don't apply to white people. Laws only apply to people of color. For white people, laws are more of just general guidelines. For white people, every law has an ish at the end of it. All of this happened during a protest that was demanding justice for Jacob Blake, who was a man that was shot 7 times in the back by a police officer that the Kenosha Police Department refuses to name. To be honest, I don't care if Jacob was armed. I don't care if he was going into his vehicle to try to grab a gun. I don't care if before the video started, he was wrestling with the officer. Police officers are required by law, we already know what that means, to only use deadly force when necessary. It was not necessary. We've seen so many more times where the police have shown way more patience in dealing with other individuals with a skin color like mine.
Shit!
What is he on?
He's trying not to use his gun.
The job of the police is to only use deadly force when necessary. It was not necessary to shoot that man 7 times in the back, paralyzing him now from the waist down, traumatizing the kids in the back seat of his car. That wasn't necessary. Also, any negative history of Jacob that you may pull up is completely irrelevant and has nothing to do with this situation. The police did not shoot him because of things that he did years ago. The police did not shoot him because he was in the act of committing a crime. The police shot him because he was black and they knew that they would get away with it. This could happen to any black man, regardless of their past. Trump painted this idea that all these protesters were bad people for wanting the police to be held accountable for their actions. Trump directly fueled an individual with enough hatred to justify him driving a half an hour to murder people at a protest. The police always say that they shoot because they feared for their life, which is crazy, that according to the law, you can just be a scared little bitch and justify killing someone whenever the fuck you want. And to be honest, the media has been trying to paint black people as scary for so long that many officers might legitimately be scared of black men. That doesn't make their actions okay. Don't misunderstand my point. That means that not only do the police have to do a better job, but we as a society have to do a better job of painting black people in a more accurate, positive light. I mean, it's good we're finally talking about white-on-white violence. I don't know if all cops are bad. I do know that anyone wearing red, white, and blue Crocs is a crazy piece of shit. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fuck the Police, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all social media. All cops are bad. And check out my Patreon, where I update regularly, prosecute the cops that killed Breonna Taylor, exclusive content that you won't see anywhere else. Thank you all for watching. Black Lives Matter, fuck 12.